Good evening. I'm Nisa Petrilli.
I'm Jay Kaplan.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And I'm Sean Roman.
And this is On the Sports Lines for February 19th, 2015. Valentine's Day and the NBA All-Star Game have come and gone, which can mean only one thing. Spring training is upon us. Pitchers and catchers are reporting, and the rest of their teammates are on the way. Tonight, we'll talk Yankees and Mets with a pair of old friends, and then take a look at which teams are coming off the best offseason as camps begin. As always, we want to hear from you, so email us at fanspeak@onthesportslines.com, send your tweets to @onthesportslines, and your posts to facebook.com/onthesportslines. We just may read them on the show.
And I may have one for you tonight, Sean. We'll see.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Well, the Yankees will officially open camp on February 25th, and there will be no shortage of storylines to follow. We're going to discuss 3 of them with someone who writes about them every day. We are happy to welcome back to the show Katie Sharp from the Yankees blog, It's About the Money. Welcome back, Katie.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Glad you could be here with us tonight, Katie, and the guys are going to have some questions for you. Jay, lead off.
Katie, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jay. Really excited, man. Nothing better than pitchers and catchers reporting on Friday.
I know that's your favorite phrase. So we're gonna jump right into this. I look up and down this roster and I see a gaping hole, and it's in the leadership department. Who's gonna fill the void left by Jeter?
First of all, I just want to make sure you don't have to worry about this. You know, it's unlikely that the Yankees are going to have an official successor to Jeter as a captain this season. I don't think they'll name anybody. But after a few days of spring training, I think you're really going to start to see some guys start to emerge as leaders in the clubhouse. So my best guess for who's going to do that right off the bat is Brian McCann.
Okay.
Pretty much, as the closest thing to a manager on the field is the catcher. And he's shown a lot of leadership in the past with the Braves, and he's got that reputation as being a tough guy. So I can really see him kind of starting to emerge as the voice in the Yankees clubhouse this season. I don't think there'll be any issue with it either.
All right, we'll see.
Katie, hi, it's Steve Ferguson.
And one other thing I just want to point out is, is that one person that you may not want to emerge as a leader, but probably will, is A-Rod.
That'll make Sean happy.
No, I don't probably
who else is there?
I'm not in the clubhouse or anything, but from what I read, is that he's got a lot of respect there, especially from the younger players.
That's true. He's approaching a milestone, so who else would you look at in terms of
If
leadership?
there's one thing, I believe it's that Alex Rodriguez, there's no one that loves baseball more than him. He loves talking baseball.
All right, we'll see how that shakes out.
As much as you're gonna hate it, but we're part of that clubhouse.
I hear you, Steve.
Yeah, hi Katie, it's Steve Ferguson. How are you?
No, I'm doing great, Steve.
Good, very good. Lots of changes to the pitching staff of the Yankees. What will you be watching for during camp?
All right, first off, I'll start off with the rotation. Kind of the biggest question mark, I think, heading into this season for the Yankees is obviously the health of Tanaka's elbow. If he's healthy, if he's fine, he could be an ace, be a Cy Young candidate, and then the Yankees have that sort of that rock in their starting rotation. But one little injury, one little snap of that elbow, and you could be looking at a lot of the same problems that they had last year, the inconsistency in their rotation. So I'm definitely going to be looking for how he throws his bullpen. Is he able to throw all the pitches? How does he look? I think he's gonna have one of the most scrutinized spring trainings of anybody on the team.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Sean Roman. I think all the stories of the Yankees really revolve around A-Rod, and especially so since this is likely the only year he's ever going to get to play without the shadow of Derek Jeter permeating the A-Rod situation. He's also approaching a ton of milestones right now, but Katie, if you got to look at it, look at his age right now, 39 years old, a history of medical problems. Another guy given a Chase Headley, $52 million contract. Where do you think this guy is going to fit in 2015?
That is a mystery. I literally don't think anyone knows, even A-Rod. I don't even think he knows where he fits in. I mean, clearly he's the DH, now that they've signed Headley. And he may even be just a platoon bat at best. So they've got Garrett Jones, to hit against righties in case A-Rod kind of just falls off the cliff. But, I mean, he's just a mystery to everyone. You don't know what he's going to do now that he's supposedly clean.
I think the best thing for him to do is not talk at all, not make these written apologies, and just play baseball, do his best because he is immensely talented, and let's see what he can do after a year of rest.
I think, I'm sort of optimistic about the whole situation, given the fact that I know he's been training hard.
Right.
And
that's what I
he
want to
loves
hear.
baseball. He's not going to give up. And he was such an incredible talent during his prime that it's hard to think that, he's completely done. I don't know, maybe I'm being an optimist.
I think he's going to break that Willie Mays record at 660. He's going to get it, and he's going to fight over the bonus.
He's got so much motivation.
He does.
He obviously has the records in sight. And,
But not Ruth.
Not Ruth. No.
No.
Katie,
No.
Katie, real quick.
He's not catching Ruth.
Real quick, the back end of the bullpen is a little bit in flux with Robertson going to the White Sox. Who you like to come out of that mix as the closer?
I really like Andrew Miller.
Yeah?
To take on that role. I think he's got a lot more. He's got more major league experience than Betances. He's just as dominant as Betances last year. He averaged 16 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Yep.
The guys hit 467 OPS against him.
Wow.
And that's lefties and righties.
Nice.
Pretty much the same. I mean, that's Brendan Ryan territory right there. And I just think that they gave him the money for a reason.
Yeah.
To replace the guy that they didn't pay the money to.
That's true.
That is true.
Very good point.
It is. Guys, I'm curious. Katie,
Yeah.
we're going to put you on the spot. Nisa, ask the usual question when we have to put somebody on the spot.
How do you think the Yanks are going to do? Playoffs? Any shot?
Well, I mean that's a good question.
I think 85 wins.
I think they have a really good chance to make the playoffs. Pretty much everything that could have gone wrong last year went wrong, and they still won 84 games. They finished obviously behind the Orioles, and they were a couple games out of a playoff spot, but they were in there for basically the last week of the season. And I think that you're going to see a much better Brian McCann, hopefully a healthy Beltran, and if the pitching can hold up and not the arm doesn't fall off, I think they've got a good shot. Obviously the Red Sox have made a lot of changes. I think that everyone's calling them sort of the class of the AL East, but the Orioles didn't do much this offseason. The Rays, they definitely regressed. The Blue Jays, I think they're a wild card as well. They haven't made the playoffs in 20 years. So who knows how they're going to do down the stretch when they're facing really, really important games. So I'm pretty optimistic about the Yankees' chances this year.
Why not?
All right, why not?
I like
Only made the playoffs, 80% of the last 20
Why
years.
not?
I hope you're right. Well, thanks so much, Katie. We always enjoy talking about the Yankees with you.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Katie Sharp of It's About the Money. Follow her on Twitter @KTSharp. Well, the Mets will convene camp on February 24th, and there will be plenty of storylines to follow. We're going to discuss 3 of them with a man who writes about them every day. We're happy to welcome back to the show Greg Prince from the Mets blog, Faith and Fear in Flushing. Welcome back, Greg.
Greg?
Might be having some technical difficulties.
Might be. All right, guys, while we wait to get Greg on the phone, There's a guy who follows us, and we follow him on Twitter. He goes by the handle of Sports by the Second. And earlier this week, he and I were trading baseball trivia questions, and he got me with a really good one. So I'm going to throw this out at you.
Okay.
Sean, I will preface this by saying it's more Steve's era than yours, but I'll throw it out there anyway. 1976, Randy Jones was the ace of the San Diego Padres, won the Cy Young Award. Two very interesting numbers pop out at you. He had 25 complete games, and he had 93 strikeouts. What is unique about those numbers?
I would have to say most wins, least strikeouts.
Steve?
I'm thinking least amount of walks.
No, not walks. It's complete games and strikeouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Most innings
93
pitched, least strikeouts.
At least, yeah, definitely least amount of strikeouts.
I'm just doing it straight by the numbers because I don't have a good memory of it.
He didn't strike out
Because-
many guys at all.
Granted,
I love obscure trivia.
it is the least number of strikeouts by a starting pitcher to win the Cy Young Award. It is also, he is only the second player from 1976 onward to ever actually win the Cy Young with 25 complete games, but he is the only one to ever do the double of under 100 strikeouts and 25 complete games as a starting pitcher to win the Cy Young Award.
Wow.
Yeah, stumped me.
It's amazing.
So,
How many strikeouts did he have?
93.
And how many walks did he have?
Less than that. He was, you know, he's a very good control
Yeah,
pitcher.
like 20 or 30.
So,
probably.
exactly.
He was
So, all
phenomenal.
right, but I think we got Greg back. So, hey, Greg.
Right here.
Hey,
Great.
Greg.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and the guys have some questions for you.
What are you looking for from Matt Harvey in spring training? I'm really interested to get your take on this.
No, I think what every Mets fan wants to see out of Matt Harvey is that he is completely healthy and that he is close to the Matt Harvey we remember as humanly possible. We're talking about a guy who, on one hand, dominated the National League for the better part of 4 to 5 months in 2013, and then we're talking about a guy, on the other hand, who hasn't pitched competitive baseball in we're going on a year and a half now. So, you know, the hit says take it slow, work up to opening day, and then, you know, even then, you know, don't get too excited about anything you don't see, maybe for the first few starts. But the heart is dying to see him air it out and to see the movement that he had in 2013. So, you know, I think logic dictates, you know, just to be healthy and keep showing progress. But, you know, the first time that, you know, that fastball explodes across the plate, it's going to be, it's truly going to be
It's
spring.
going to be very exciting to see it and see how hard he's able to throw again. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there opening day, so I'll
Good on
definitely
you.
know.
Hey, Greg, it's Jay. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Jay, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Good to have you back. So I'm looking at this from the offensive side of the ball, and to me, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on the expectations and pressures that may or may not be on Mr. Wright and Mr. Granderson coming into camp based on the seasons they had last year.
Well, I think, you know, that there is, in general, a nice air of optimism around this team. You know, they finished relatively strong, and there are no glaring holes or question marks to certainly football with some parts of the team. But on the flip side, you know, the known quantities of Granderson and Wright are, in a way, the mysteries here, because, you know, Wright missed the last few weeks of the season, and his shoulder was never quite, no pun intended, right. And Granderson had a hell of a time, you know, getting adjusted to a bigger right field to take aim at. That still has, you know, all told, not a horrible un-Granderson-like year. When you got right down to it, he was not, you know, exactly what they were paying for. You know, I think we're looking at two guys who are fine for a comeback. They're maybe wishful thinking. You know, they're both, you know, over 30. They've both been around, but something tells me David Wright has at least one more really true David Wright season in him before we kind of have to brace ourselves for the inevitable decline. And Granderson, I think it's about the fence having come in and being able to take aim at a target that where fly balls won't die, and, you know, having Kevin Longman as his hitting coach again, that seems to be mostly about Curtis Granderson than it is about the entire team. So, I'm opposed to both bouncing back.
I'd have to agree with you on both of those.
Greg, Sean Roman here. Just one question for you, very quick and direct. Tell me, one under-the-radar player for the Mets who's going to produce for them unexpectedly this year.
That is a really good question because most of the team is fixed. Very few jobs are being fought for, which usually means that by the middle of the season you find yourself scrambling for replacements because you just didn't see it coming in spring training. I would watch, how the bullpen fills out during spring training with Bobby Harnell starting the season most likely on the disabled list. Another guy who has to come back the way Harvey has to. I would keep a lookout at Sean Gilmartin, the Rule 5 lefty they drafted. I would look for his name is unfamiliar by now, but Rafael Montero had some good starts towards the end of last year, and even in a pitching-rich situation, you might want to keep him around. You might want to use him as a
MLB.
One more name in terms of the minor leagues, Matt Reynolds, who had a pretty good AAA year at shortstop. I don't think they're quite ready to jump in with him, with all the questions surrounding Wilmer Flores, which I hope are answered. And the general dissatisfaction of the idea of keeping Ruben Tejada as a backup, we might see Matt Reynolds by mid-season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That would be interesting. So, got to put you on the spot. What's your prediction on how you think the Mets will do?
I think, and perhaps I'm just hoping, but I think that there's a decent chance that we're talking about the Mets' first winning season in 7 years. Since they called Chase KBM, it's a long time now. So that's just a matter of moving up from 79 to 82 wins. And I think with this pitching, that would be disappointing if they couldn't do that. Contention is an interesting question because you might wind up in a league where there are a lot of teams improved and 88 wins won't allow you to sneak in like last year, which was the case with the Giants and the Pirates. So I'm not banking on them getting that far, getting up to be a 90-plus win team yet, but win more than you lose, and that's a step in the right direction. And I think if they can keep this team together, keep the young core of it together, and guys like Lagares and Darnell continue to improve, this at the very least is a first step toward legitimate contention and a legitimate chance of the championship in a year or two.
That's
Yeah.
a consensus.
Yeah.
I think the Mets are going to be a little over 500.
That's definitely
Yeah.
something realistic they can shoot for.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. Well, thanks so much, Greg. We always enjoy talking Mets baseball with you.
Always enjoy being here. Thanks very much.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
Take care.
Uh,
That's Greg Prince of Faith and Fear in Flushing. Follow him on Twitter at Greg_Prince. Well, as training camps get underway in Florida and Arizona, we're going to take a look at some of the teams that will start spring training with great expectations based on their offseason moves. We'll begin with the junior circuit. Jay, which AL team had the best offseason?
All right, guys, let's do this real quick.
Then
For
get
me,
to it and stop babbling.
all right, for me, the AL team that had the best offseason is the Chicago White Sox, and I think it will translate into above 500, potentially a run at the Central title. Steve.
I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox. I really like what they did with their offense, and I also like the pitchers they picked up. They don't have an ace, but they've
1
got
minute.
some really
3
good
minutes.
starters, and I think they'll contend or maybe win the division.
Sean.
I think out in the West, the Seattle Mariners are putting some distance between themselves and their rival, the A's, with the pickup of Nelson Cruz and his 40 home runs in that ballpark. He'll probably hit between 20 and 25.
Quite possibly.
Interesting. Well, turning to the senior circuit, Steve, which NL team do you think had the best offseason?
Well, I'm going to say the San Diego
Yeah.
Padres. They went through a complete overhaul, and they picked up so many
Okay.
really good players, and finished with
Got it.
getting James Shields.
That was
I was
huge.
waiting for them to pick up. But what
I
a
agree.
great job for AJ.
Tremendous offseason.
Yep. I'm going to stay in Chicago. I'm just going to move over to the north side. I think the Cubs had a fantastic
Yes.
offseason. Lots of good offseason pickups, both on offense and on the mound. The key being, John Lester.
John
But the big
Lester.
pickup, Joe Madden's their manager. That was the biggest
Unbelievable.
offseason acquisition of all.
I agree with Jay. I think it is the Cubs who are the best, but I think second best is the Padres, along with the Washington Nationals, the addition of Matt Scherzer.
That's
Picking up the
huge.
Tigers
That's a great
ace, that
acquisition.
huge contract, 18-5. Unlike Harvey,
Yeah.
this guy has a body of work behind him that
Yeah.
you could really rely on.
All
That's
right,
why I
we'll
put
see.
Washington right up there. Huge offseason for them. I expect them to be like the Yankees when they won 125 games.
All right, so real quick, Yankees playoffs, yes or no?
No,
Well,
I think they're
Sean?
just missed.
I like to, I'm pro New York. I like to see New York. Any team in the playoffs, I'll say yes, just to be an optimist.
I'm going to say,
30
to
seconds.
borrow from Maxwell Smart, they're going to miss it by that much.
That's
They
what I
could
would
have made
say.
runs each of the last 2
Good.
years and stuck in there.
Yes or
I
no?
say yes to a while.
Okay.
All right.
National League. Mets, playoffs, yes or no?
I'm going to say yes, they'll just make it.
I'm shocked. Sean.
I want to be optimistic once again. I'm hopeful more than realistic. I'll say yes.
I got to tell you, I think the NL East is open enough this year. Even though the Nationals are the elite team, I still think they can sneak in with a wild card, but everything has to break right
Everything
for
has to
them.
go right.
I gotta go no on that one.
No?
That's a
Negatory.
pragmatic look. isn't it?
Negatory.
Yeah, what do you want?
I just don't see it happening.
No?
No. Well,
All
that
right.
music means it's time for the 3-minute warning. Sean, lead us off.
I think we're being a lot too hard on Alex Rodriguez for his apology letter. I mean, he took the time to write the thing in his own handwriting. That shows some level of dedication. And who among us has not been in a situation where you really messed up? It could be at home with the spouse, at work, or with a friend. And you know you have to apologize. Nisa, you can even back me up on it. And you say, listen, I'm sorry. But the other person, they just want to rub your freaking nose in it, and they want you to spell out the gory detail. Sometimes that is just evil and malevolent. So we're being a little too harsh with A-Rod right here. He knows what he did. We know what he did. He apologized for it. I forgive him. Good luck, Alex, and good night.
Knicks fans, why are we packing the Garden this year? Yes, there were times in the history of the Knicks when showing up to the Garden made sense. The 1999 playoffs come to mind when they got by the Raptors. Then they beat the dreaded Heat, only to lose the spine-tingling series in the next round to the Indiana Pacers. Even in 2012, it was logical when the Knicks won their conference, only to be foiled by the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, I get why you showed up for those games, but why the hell have you trekked to this mecca now? Hey, Brainiacs, this team is 10-43, worse than the league. Now I get it. You came to see the clowns at the circus. Fools, they're at the Barclays Center this year. Hey, Zendel fans, with or without Carmelo or Amari, this team just plain stinks.
Go hold back, Steve.
That's
Tell us
true.
how you really feel.
You're right.
I am an alumni of St. John's, but I consider myself a card-carrying member of Tar Heel Nation. So I was profoundly saddened by the passing of UNC's legendary coach, Dean Smith. I can run the numbers for you. His 879 wins were most all-time when he retired in '97. 17 ACC titles, 11 Final Fours, 2 national titles, 8 times ACC Coach of the Year, only 1 losing season in 36 at UNC. There's a lot more to Coach Smith than his Hall of Fame numbers. The man played for the legendary Fog Allen at Kansas, who learned the game at the knee of Dr. James A. Naismith, who invented the game. His four corners offense, the reason college basketball has a shot clock today. A player pointing to the guy who assisted him on the basket, that was Dean Smith. One of the tenets of his Carolina Way team-first philosophy. He coached basketball, but he taught life. He sent many players to the NBA, but he sent many more men out into the world with honor, integrity, and purpose. The man also had a social conscience. In 1967, he made Charlie Scott the first black scholarship athlete at North Carolina, and he continued to speak out against such issues as the death penalty. He was against it. Gays and lesbians, he was right there with them, and he was against nuclear proliferation. There is a reason the arena at Chapel Hill is named after the only man who could hold Michael Jordan to under 20 points a game, and it only had 50% to do with what he accomplished on its court.
So now that the hangover of All-Star Weekend has worn off, New Yorkers can get back to the reality that the Knicks are still bottom feeders, as Steve said. Like, all the way at the bottom of the entire NBA. I remember Phil Jackson's much-hyped entrance and the agonizing over the loss of Steve Kerr as a coach to Golden State. And what do you know, Golden State just happens to have the best record in the NBA.
Yeah.
But we can't place the blame for this atrocity of a season on Derek Fisher's shoulders, or even Phil Jackson's. The blame goes to the guy who writes nasty letters to fans. That's right, James Dolan, the worst non-racist ranting owner. He spends like a drunken sailor and gets less for the money than anyone I've ever seen. He couldn't even spend enough to get LeBron to come play in his favorite arena because he's such a terrible owner. Jimmy, sit down, shut up, and let the basketball people do their jobs. You should pray that Phil and his team can undo the decades of damage you've done to this once proud franchise and say thank you to everyone you see that's still wearing Knicks gear. For Jay Kaplan, Steve Ferguson, and Sean Roman, I'm Nisa Petrilli. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us. We'll see you on March 5th for another edition of On the Sports Lines. Remember, if you want to see this show again or catch up on any of the ones you might have missed, check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines. And check out our blog at onthesportslines.blogspot.com. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.